Hey, what's up guys? This is Alex Himler, or Himles, with Punch TCG. I recently got top 8 at the Lockhaven Regional, playing Sky Striker of all things. I think a lot of people thought that, especially with the Verte hit, because Brave Striker is the best way to play this deck before, that this deck is kind of dead. So I actually got top 8 though. I went, 6-2, 150-man regional. Not the biggest, but you know, still relatively competitive just because of the area we're in. We're in Pennsylvania, so it's right by Philly. Right by New York, a lot of people within driving distance. Anyways, let's get right back into this. Something interesting, no Therion, no Brave in this, just Striker DPE. All right, so starting off with the basic Striker stuff, we have 3 Ray, that's standard. You're never gonna play any less than this. It's the best card in the deck. It trades 2 for 1 like every time it hits the board. I only play 1 Rose. I think that sure, you could argue that you're going to see more starters when you play 2, but I like 1 just because, you know, even when you see the 3 and the 1, the other consistency cards in the deck, just to get to these cards, you already have like a 65% chance of seeing the cards if I remember my math correctly. Plus, I play triple prosperity, which increases that. And the worst thing you could do in this deck, just because this deck doesn't put out a lot of interruptions on its own, you don't really want to brick on multiple starters. So 3-1, that's what I've been playing for the last year, and it's worked fine for me. I'm going to keep playing that ratio. The DPE bricks, Dasher Celestial. I hate drawing them, but you have to play them because this deck needs the power of DPE in order to kind of go for game and put up a high pressure interruption. Hand traps, I play 3 Ash Blossom. I think Ash Blossom's the most versatile hand trap of the format right now. It hits Branded Fusion really hard. It doesn't really hit Swordsoul too much, but if they have to lead Emergence or Ecclesia, it could hit that. So it's not the worst against them. It's pretty good against Flunder, and those are probably going to be the 3 most represented decks at the moment. So, you know, standard 3 of, it's 3 of basically every format. 3 DD Crow. DD Crow is, I think, you can play this, you can play Ghost Bell. Some people are playing both. I like DD Crow because Crow and Bell basically hit the exact same decks of the format. They hit you're mainly playing Bell for Branded and Red. DD Crow does the same thing by banishing the target. But this one doesn't lose to Branded Lost. Granted, they could still search Mercarier to kind of negate this, but it allows you to at least have a chance to interact with them. This also just hits Swordsoul better because you could banish their 10E targets out of the graveyard, and that's something that Bell just can't do. Bell's very useless against Swordsoul right now. So Crow hits those while also still being relevant against, well, more than relevant, being fantastic against a deck like Despia. And then I'm playing 3 Veiler. I am playing the Slain package in Striker, so this makes sense. But even outside of that, I think I would still play Veiler. Veiler, it's just another generically good hand trap. It hits Swordsoul really hard unless they have Circle. They have to have Circle they have to burn Circle. It hits Flunder hard. They have to have, you make them use their Book of Moons if they're still playing that, or their Advent Adventure. And if you have multiple Veiler, then you could just, you Veiler the first one, you force it, and then you could Veiler the Eaglin, and then they just can't play. I'm gonna move on to the Striker spells now. I play 3 Widow Anchor, standard. Not really much to say about this, you know, negate. Once you have 3 spells in grave, it becomes high impact because you take control, helps you push for game. I play 2 Shark Cannon. This card is much better this format than it was last format, just because Branded in Red. Same concept behind DD Crow. So because you're playing Striker and you have access to this, you're basically playing 5 DD Crows or 5 ways to turn off their Branded in Red. And this one doesn't lose to Mercarier, which is really nice.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Try to keep your arms off the table.
Gotcha. Then the 1 of Striker spells, I play the 1 Engage. That's self-explanatory. No, nothing needed for that one. 1 Hornet Drones, another starter. Helps you play the game basically. 1 Multi-Roll. Now that Engage is legal, this is probably the best card in the deck just because it says you can't respond, and it says that you can't it helps you recur. It keeps your recursion online, especially in a format that's very, very mid-rangey right now. Despia grinds very well. Swordsoul doesn't grind quite as well, but it's still this just keeps you recycling Widow Anchors so that, you know, they have to have long Moon Dab out. The 1 Afterburners, good going second card, forces an interruption, gets rid of problematic monsters, that as long as they can be targeted and destroyed, that is. But yeah, pretty standard on this front. And then I played one area 0. This would usually be at 2, I think, but just because of I was expecting a lot of back row for this regional because it's a new format. I cut an area 0 into terraforming for 2 other tech cards that I'll show. The one area 0 was fine. It came up. I'm never lucky on it though, so I whiff a lot, but it got me to Ray access with DPE once, so that was good. Then Fusion Destiny, 2 Fusion Destiny. A lot of people I feel weren't expecting this even when they saw Striker, just because it's limited now. It's like, oh, you're not going to see it as often, and well, that's true. You know, even at 2, you have a 0.6% chance of seeing it in your opening hand, and Prosperity just adds to that. So you probably have you see it probably around a third of your games, and I think that was about right. In the games that I can remember, I think I saw it about 33% of the time, and the games I saw it, obviously, I think I won almost every single one of those games. Just like what I was saying, here's the tech cards. Pot of Prosperity. This isn't even really a tech card at this point. It's just the best consistency card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially post-side, it just lets you dig for whatever you need. Game 1, it helps me dig for Ray or Fusion Destiny, whatever card I need. You could banish 3 or 6 in this deck. It's really whatever you need. If your hand's really good, you can just banish 3. But if you really need to, banishing 6 really isn't that big of an issue, as long as you know how to manage your resources well. And here's the tech card that I cut the second Area 0 and Terraforming for. It's just 2 Cosmic in the main. I'd usually side it. It was fine. It came up once. I outed a Mystic Mine with it game 1. I think I outed some Salad back row that I played in round 1 with it, and I think a Floodgate. But it was fine. It performed fine. I don't know if I'd main it again, but I think it wasn't detrimental at all. I was happy when I saw it. It just I think I'd rather see Ray more often with Area 0 and the Terraforming. And then Rhoda Called By. This card's broken. This card searches Ray. This is literally the best one of in the game, I swear. The last hand trap I played was Imperm. Same thing as Valor basically, but it plays around Despia just playing in their draw phase, because obviously you can't Valor in draw phase, but you can Imperm them in their draw phase. Also, it's good going second. If you draw it for a 6th card, it's much better. Valor doesn't do anything, Imperm does. And the last card I played in the deck was 3 Summon Limit. This was a weird one for me, in terms of I wasn't sure if I wanted to play this or not, but I needed something to kind of help me play in case I didn't see starters, and Summon Limit is the only Floodgate that I found that I could play in Striker that hits the best decks of the format right now. It hits Swordsoul. They can't really play under this. It hits Despia. As soon as they make their first fusion, especially if they lead with Aliber, they just can't really follow up after that. So it's good against that, unless their only plays activate branded fusion. But in that case, it's their board's probably going to be subpar anyways. So this was pretty good. I think I would play this again. The other card I debated was Tikaboo, but that just doesn't really do anything against Despia, and I figured that would have the most representation. So I chose the Summon Limit. Actually won me the Striker Mirror of all things, which was really funny. We'll get into the extra deck now. Extra deck, I think, is pretty standard at this point. I have the 3 Kagari. Recurs all the cards you need, the spell cards you need. Yeah. Multiple engage in 1 turn, right? 3 Shizuku. When I was playing the Brave Engine, this was just at 2, but now that I have the space again with no Verte and no Link Spider, I bump it back up to 3. It just helps you search whatever you need for follow-up, and having the 3 just lets you do it your turn, your opponent's turn. If they swing over Ray for some reason and can't get rid of it, then you can do it again on your turn, and you just keep generating, getting a free card every turn, basically. Self-explanatory enough. 2 Hayate. I think the 2 Hayate has been pretty standard for a while. You never really need the 3rd. You manage your resources well enough. Comes up, dumps a card, dumps Ray maybe if you don't have access to it. But yeah. The one Kaina, it didn't actually come up at all, but you kind of have to play it to stall in case you need to. Also gain life points in game 3 if you need to, but I never had to do that. I don't really like doing that, but it has to be in there just in case. The 1 Zeke, this card's crazy. I wouldn't play it up more than one just because there's never really a situation where you're going to need the second one. But it just gets rid of like an opponent's monster for a turn and a half, basically. And then you could also trigger your rose off of it if you need to help link climb, which didn't come up, but it has come up in the past. Dark, this card sucked. I wouldn't play this. Nobody's playing DPE. There's not enough dark targets in the game right now, and it's not worth burning one of your own dark targets like Ray to make this. I'd probably play a unicorn or like one of the other charmers. Hita could be an option just because Salad's going to be back in the fold for the YCS, but I'd probably Unicorn's the best one, and then maybe even Asa, because I know a lot of Earth decks are gaining popularity. Celine package, how Celine access code. I only did this like once or twice, but it's good to have an option to close out games. Because Striker can have a hard time killing. A lot of times you don't need this, but if you have nothing else and like your opponent's on very minimal resources, then it's free. Might as well play it, especially with the extra deck space now. And last card, extra deck DPE. This needs no explanation. It's broken. I'll do a quick side deck here. So this was the best card of my side the entire day. It was Pankratops. Pankratops won me like, it probably won me like 3 duels on its own, honestly. Just seeing this card, it trades 2 for 1 almost every single time, which is crazy. And then you could just normal summon afterwards. Because 2600 is like, it's going to get over a lot of things, and then pop a free card, and then you could just normal summon Ray or activate Fusion Destiny, do whatever you need to play. I played 2 Ghost Ogre. I sided the Ogres. This was fine. It was good when it came up. I just didn't see it very often. There was still a lot of Brave running around, actually, and there were a few Hout combos that I saw. So it hit those, and it hit Swordsoul, which is the main reason I have it in there. Because, like, Crow doesn't hit them too hard, but it still can do something game 1. This will hit them games 2 and 3, and a lot of people aren't ready for this card. 3 Nib. A lot of people are off this card. I figured I should test it because I lose to combo decks, but it was fine. I don't know if I'd play it again, honestly, but I nibbed a Salad player because they can't play around Nib, really, or if they do, their board's not very good. And then I did nib Imperm a Swordsoul player, but I didn't see a starter that game, so I lost anyways. Those were the only times I saw it and it was like actually doing something. Most of the times when I sided in, it just got like stuck in my hand. So I'd probably cut this and just replace this with the Cosmics and then move the Terraforming Area 0 to the main. Or back into the main, I should say. I sided 2 Droplets. You can't really outboss monsters like Dragoon at all, and big boards can be kind of difficult. I'm not a big fan of the activation cost of this card in Striker because you kind of need all your resources, especially if you have to send a monster. But you kind of have to play this just so you do have a way to out a problem card like Dragoon. And then last 6 cards, one more, sorry. Harpy's Feather Duster, back row, that's self-explanatory. And then the last 6 cards, 3D Barrier, Call Synchro, Call Fusion against the 2 best decks of the format right now, or at least 2 most popular decks. Gets you it's a turn skip from them basically, lets you clean up the board, especially with like Swordsoul, it puts them on minimal resources in hand as well. They can't really play after that, especially if you set up a Widow Anchor and like, if you're able to set up like D-Barrier, you could hold your Widow Anchor for the next turn, so it makes like, if they side in back row hate, it makes it kind of useless. The fact that this is chainable is the reason why I really like it, because you will just get Duster, Lightning Storm, Twin Twister. Even if people don't think those cards are good, they're still playing them, so. And then last card was There Can Be Only One. This is here for Flunder and Swordsoul mainly. A little bit of Earth Machine too. I sided this in against Earth Machine because that deck's becoming more popular with Therion. But it just like, it kind of auto wins against those decks. They have to have the back row removal or they literally can't play the game.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Himles did a great job. We're so proud of him taking Striker's not so great deck to a regional in a format that's totally like just basically Swordsoul and Despia. Himles did a great job with his favorite deck, so we're really proud of him. How'd you feel about piloting your favorite deck?
I mean, I wanted to win the mat. This mat's beautiful. And I've been playing Swordsoul like the last month, but I didn't really want to play Swordsoul when everyone's expecting to face it. Striker, it's always been a deck that does best when people aren't prepping for it, and people aren't really ready for this deck right now.
Right.
So it's just like, okay, no one really has any side cards other than typical blowouts. I'll just play it, see what happens, and have some fun. It's been like a month since I played the deck, but hey, it turned out pretty well. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, I didn't play against any Despia. I played against branded Eldritch, and that was the closest thing I came. Every deck I played was different. I had no repeat decks throughout the entire tournament, which was kind of interesting, kind of cool, because I knew there was a lot of Despia there. I just didn't see it. I think they just all lost early to like the Swordsoul players, and then a lot of the Swordsoul players just lost to Floodgates and Token Collector. So like by the time we got to that last round, so it was really odd. It was like a couple Despia, Swordsoul, Flunder. Plunder Patrol. Plunder Patrol got top 4. So I think we're actually going to see a more diverse format than people think, and that was like one of my biggest takeaways from this. Is there's a lot of viable decks right now, and it's hard. You can't really prep for all of them. So some people might see that as a good thing, some people might see it as a bad thing, but I think this format's going to be a lot more fun than people think, and we're going to see a lot more than just Swordsoul Despia, which is what we anticipated.
Right. Going forward in the format, should you choose to keep playing Striker, is there anything you're going to kind of change about the strategy? Maybe some tech cards, hand traps, anything?
I kind of covered a lot of that. The main one that I teched just for this tournament was the 2 Cosmics in the main, because new formats, a lot of people fall back on decks they know how to play, and everyone can play Eldritch, and a lot of people own Eldritch, so I'm like, I'll put the backer removal in.
Right.
It wasn't as great as I thought, and I'm probably just moving it to the side. The other card I'm not entirely sure on is the summon limits, but I'm probably going to keep them in for now, give them another like tournament or two, see how they turn out. But if like there's so much space in this deck, especially because I'm going first, I feel like I needed something high impact like a Floodgate, and summon limit I think just fits the bill the best at the moment.
Do you have anything you want to say, maybe a final middle finger to all the people who hate on One Rose?
No, I can't say too much. I mean, hey, I just don't like seeing too many starters, all right? Like you're going to see I only bricked like on no starters like twice the whole tournament. Yeah. It was fine, especially when you're playing the Fusion Destiny, because that's 2 more starters and that's a better starter than Rare Rose. Yeah. You can make an argument, I think, for multiple Rose, just because if you're playing the Therion version, you need to see a starter to use that engine in the first place. The engine felt clunky to me. I didn't really like it in testing. So 1 Rose, 3 Ray, and DPE is just the way that I'm gonna play the deck. And hey, I'm gonna run the second to the ground.
You can play it at the YCS?
I think I am.
You don't have to reveal that.
I think I am. I haven't submitted my list yet. Hey, everyone knows the 2 decks I played.
Everyone knows Himles decks, yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Again, like I said, we're very proud of Himles. He represented the team so well on Saturday. And but yeah, we hope you guys just keep watching our content. Please like, subscribe, comment if you guys are interested. We're going to keep these videos coming. More deck profiles, more vlogs coming your way. And we have some awesome stuff in the works as well that we don't quite want to reveal yet. But until then, peace out.